Hello and welcome to this edition of the Wise Medical Minute. I'm speaking to you on December 7th, 2020, and the purpose of this recording is to introduce a new program that we're going to launch consistently, at least, on a daily available basis in January of 2021. Now, this program combines lots of things that we have lots of experience with into one consolidated program. And what are we going to call it? Of course, if it's at WISE, it's got to be called WISE. So the name of it will be the WISE Intimacy, Satisfaction, and Enrichment Program. I had to come up with something that said WISE. But it's all about sexual health and wellness for both men and women. And we're going to talk about couples therapy and even add a mental health component to this. But the technologies and the pharmacologies and the physiologies that have been developed in the last decade, I've studied extensively, and we put it together in one program that only divided based on whether you're male or female. Now, the different components and the modalities involved will include things like PRP-based therapies. You've heard of other programs like the O shot and the P shot and the G shots and all those other things that people do with PRP. We have extensive experience with muscular skeletal therapies with PRP. We have extensive experience with using PRP to enhance our autologous fat transfers. And we've done a previous video on what PRP is in general. But PRP stimulates and increases the response for anything that needs rejuvenating or anything that is healing. So they're very effective uses of PRP, I prefer, as an adjunct to whatever else you're doing. Lots of places are advocating the PRP treatments as a standalone therapy, and with good results. But as an adjunct to whatever else you do, I think there's lots of places for PRP. I refer you again to our previous video for a little more details. But PRP as a part of the sexual health and wellness is an integral component. Now, radiofrequency is another technology we have a good little bit of experience with. We have more experience with skin tightening and using radiofrequency in that arena, but radiofrequency has been used successfully as a so-called vaginal rejuvenation treatment. I'm more impressed not only with the things that it does to enhance one's sexual response, but it's a very effective way to treat stress urinary incontinence. And it's amazing that more than 40%, and I think that number is probably 60% of women over the age of 50, and a lot of women who are younger than that when they've had multiple pregnancies will have some degree of stress urinary incontinence. So we're going to be treating stress urinary incontinence by multiple modalities, not just the PRP-based therapy, but more than one radiofrequency-based therapy. And stay tuned, I'll brand name these things after we finish negotiating with the vendors. But some of it's non-invasive, you won't even have to take your clothes off. Other parts involve use of technology, where the radiofrequency is applied both externally and internally for vaginal rejuvenation. Now, most of you know that we have extensive experience with low intensity shockwave therapy. The most popular example of this form of treatment is the so-called GAINSWave Program. We spent about a year affiliated with that franchise, but the GAINSWave only deals with low intensity shockwave therapy. It's most notably used, and not only for men, but most notably used for treating erectile dysfunction. But men not being able to achieve an erection is more complicated than just shockwave therapy can fix. There's a vascular issue where the shockwave therapy definitely makes a very positive difference. But it needs to sometimes be combined with things like the PRP we mentioned earlier, more often with things like the hormone replacement therapy. We have extensive experience with the testosterone replacement in men and estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone replacement in women. So as a part of the overall WISE Intimacy, Satisfaction, and Enrichment Program, the hormone replacement therapy will definitely play a role along with the low-intensity shockwave therapy, the radiofrequency-based therapy, and the PRP-based therapy. Now, last but not least, in more of our image-enhancing services, we've developed close relationships with multiple pharmacies that can do compounded and custom blended and custom made and custom dosed products that can be used for enhancing one's sexual wellness. Everybody knows about Viagra and Cialis. A lot of people don't realize that there's other nutrients that are involved in making those products work. But we've invented a product where we combine the active ingredient in Viagra with the active ingredient in Cialis, and not only do we have something that works quickly, but it also lasts a whole weekend. And the flexibility in dosing is the real key to the invention. So for young guys who want to be a porn star for a whole weekend, 1/4 of one of these things will work. For older guys who haven't had an erection in 6 years, we still got something for you. So the dose flexibility by using the compounded product is the thing that makes it most unique. So these custom products can only be prescribed after a proper baseline assessment and an open, confidential, discreet conversation where we find out what your needs, your symptoms, your physiologic problems are, and if necessary, psychiatric counseling can be a part of this on occasion. The psychological counseling may be more important on occasion than the prescribed therapies. So individual baseline assessment is a critical component to the WISE Intimacy, Satisfaction, and Enrichment program. So we'll be starting everybody out with that so that we custom make a program that's perfect for you. If you have any questions about our men's and women's sexual wellness and health, please write me at info@wisemedicalcenter.com and we can respond to you privately, or feel free to comment down below and subscribe. Stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Wise Medical Minute with Dr. Thomas Locke. Dr. Locke addresses current events as well as important medical issues using responsible, unbiased journalism approached from a medical perspective. We invite you to submit questions or comments or suggestions for future topics by email to info@wisemedicalcenter.com. Again, thank you for viewing the Wise Medical Minute.